Hello, and Merry Christmas, everybody. Welcome back into another One Piece video. Today, we're here to talk about Chapter 1163. And by golly, there's a lot we gotta discuss. So, hopping right into the weeds, the cover page. Be prepared to spend the next 30 to 40 chapters with reader requests. It's pretty funny because thinking back at it, I was like, okay, in between the Jammer cover page story and Yamato's journey, there was about 5, 7, maybe 10 weeks worth of reader requests. So I went back to check, just to fact check myself and to look at the numbers. No, there were 31 chapters in between Germa's excursion and Yamato's pilgrimage. So I do think we'll be here for quite some time, just looking at, Luffy jumping with monkeys, Zoro getting lost in a forest, maybe Sanji feeding a giraffe. Like, we're gonna get a lot of nonsense for the next couple of weeks, but I do think they're kind of fun. While they don't have any lore relevance, we do know that Oda likes to hide certain things in these cover page requests anyways, so we do gotta, dissect them nonetheless. And in this one, the only thing that comes to me right away is how much I don't like monkeys. I don't mind gorillas, but monkeys themselves, I don't know. I just think about like the Pokemon monkeys like Infernape and Ipom, if that's the correct name. Yeah, I never liked those guys, man. But gorillas, those are my dudes. Getting into the chapter now, enough BSing. We got Saint Saturn, or should we say Emu. They have officially manifested on the island. All the Marines are like, wait, Saint Saturn? What's going on here? They are straight up confused, rightfully so. Emu looks down at them, and they say, such eyesores, and they start attacking the Marines. Bro. Dude, I get it. You do not care for insects or humans, etc. But the Marines are on your side. The Marines are helping you. What is going on here? I cannot understand this one thing from the Gorosei and Emu. Like, even on Egghead, we had Warkari unleashing Conqueror's Haki, knocking out Marines and none of the pirates. We had Saturn blowing heads off of Marines. Like, I get that you shouldn't care for Marine lives, but going out of your way to attack them is just not a great strategy. Like, it benefits nobody. It doesn't even benefit the Gorosei or Emu because you're losing forces and you're encouraging dissonance. Like, it doesn't make any sense, but yeah, that happens. We see Marines get stabbed. Very sad day for them. The pirates are like, oh, whose side is this thing on? Is it going after the Marines? And then, of course, Emu's like, nope, I'm after everybody, and starts attacking the pirates as well. Crazy stuff. Emu's just over here. It's funny when you think about Emu, because technically they're just like wiggling their arms all around and stabbing these dudes. The Marines are saying, hey, guys, fall back, but also don't attack Saint Saturn. Even though they're attacking us, we should not fire back at this thing. Roger looks over at one of his crewmates who I do not know. That's the problem with the Roger crew. They're so massive. I'm like, okay, who is this guy that's on the ground here? Roger says, hey, get a hold of yourself. And his crewmate says something really odd. I kind of want to wait for more translations, but the guy says, this pain, it's compelling. What does that mean? Like, it's good, or it's interesting, it's enticing you to get attacked again? Yeah, that's a little bit odd. But one thing we do have to keep in mind is that the Emu that's attacking them is Emu mixed with Saturn, so maybe he's referencing the poison that's in Saturn's fangs. So Roger goes on, and he orders Gabon and the rest of his crew to take the treasure and get the heck out of here. But Roger himself wants to check out the source of all this power. We then switch over to Garp's perspective, and he's questioning one of the Marines, saying, hey, what is that freaking monster over there? The Marine says, well, so Saint Saturn transformed, and yeah, that's what happened. Garp says, what a fitting look for one of those maggots. So Garp obviously showing his disdain towards Celestials, and the Marines are like, whoa, Garp, don't say that too loudly, they're gonna hear ya. We then see Rox's perspective, and he is facing off against Emu head to head, and he says, hey, if it isn't the Rat King, you came to kill me in person, didn't ya? And I'm like, brother, first up, great insult, but two, what if it's not an insult and that is actually what Emu is, right? We still know nothing about IMU NERONA or, you know, what their real body looks like, etc. So maybe there's some weight to the Rat King title. Because we have to remember, Rox was one of the few people in the world that actually knew about Emu's existence. Not just that, they made it all the way to the Flower Room, and they even know what two devil fruits you need to beat this thing. So it's like, wait a minute, Rat King, is Rox cooking? Is this lore relevant? So, as many of you guys mentioned in the spoiler videos, Rat King is a real thing. It's a phenomenon where rats get tangled up with hair or wax or etc., and they get stuck together and they become one combined thing. And in some way, I think that could actually apply to Emu. Like maybe Emu is an amalgamation of souls, which is hilarious because there's so many theories saying that Emu is possessing X, Y, or Z person, or, oh, this is the reason why Emu's immortal. They're switching bodies like Orochimaru, right? There's so many theories like that. There's even theories that Blackbeard has multiple souls. The idea of multiple souls being in a body isn't alien in the One Piece theory community. So maybe Emu is just that. They are a Rat King. There's multiple people inside this one blackened figure thing. And if I had to guess, like, you know, if I had to put rats to the Rat King, I'd say it could just be the OG 20 kings and queens. Maybe that's how they live forever. Maybe that's why they sit on the empty throne. It's not just IMU NERONA taking that spot. It's actually all the kings and queens put into one body. And that could also explain why Emu refers to themselves as Mu. They refer to themselves in the third person because they're actually just a bunch of people in one thing. I think that's so fascinating. The Rat King line, I'm putting a lot of weight on that one. Because Rox, like I said, he knows lore about the world. He knows what Davy Jones potentially knew. So, speaking of Davy Jones, Emu looks over at Rox and he says, "Ah, so thou art the one, Davy Jones." And of course, Rox's response is, "Well, you got the wrong guy. You know, I'm not Davy Jones. I've never even met him." What this is telling me right here, this interaction, is that Rox is possibly a spitting image of Davy Jones. Or at least they look very similar. Kind of like how Rox looks like Blackbeard. Like, it's literally just Blackbeard with different hair and a scar or tattoo thing. I'm assuming Davy Jones is going to be the same way. It's going to be like a Pokemon evolution. You know, Blackbeard's the base form. Then we have Rox. And then the final evolution is probably just Davy Jones. I wouldn't be shocked if this is going to be the same thing for Luffy. Like, oh, here's Luffy. Here's X character, and then here's Joy Boy. Like, yeah, I'm assuming that's what Oda's going for, and I think that makes sense. I think a lot of fans kind of expected this already, mainly because when we hit that Void Century, we're gonna have to see Void Century counterparts to a lot of our current cast, and the easiest way to get those designs is just to spin off or riff off of existing characters, which would make sense considering they all should be related. So, Rox says, that being said, I believe that promises are meant to be kept, which is referring to Davy Jones's promise. We don't know what it is exactly, but I do think that the straightforward answer would simply be that Davy Jones promised revenge on Emu. Like, oh, I'm going to take you down one day, or, ooh, I'm going to purge you from this world. Emu says that is precisely why your wretched ilk must be extinguished from the annals of history. Mu's world remains incomplete. All right. So it's been 900 years, and yet Emu's world is not done yet. It has not reached its final stage. What does that even mean, right? How do we get to the completed world? Is it by eliminating the Davy clan, the D's, and etc.? Or is there some other condition or other thing they're working towards? One great thing I thought of was the wolf bridges, right? We have Tequila Wolf, Bourbon Wolf, Rum Wolf, and Vodka Wolf, and all those bridges are not done yet. Maybe when they're all done, that will signify that Emu's world has been completed. It's either that, or it could be something else that Emu is working on. Obviously, there's a lot of parallels between Emu and Enel, straight up to like the Leloucia Death Pia event, right? So I wouldn't be shocked if Emu is actually working on a project up in the Holy Land that we do not know of yet. Kind of like how in Skypiea, Enel had the priests working on the Arc Maxim. They've been working on that for many, many years. And then by the time the Strats arrived, Enel's like, okay, I'm good now, I can leave. Maybe Emu's doing the same thing. Like, we'll get to the Holy Land, and then we learn that Emu, the reason they've been in the Flower Room, the reason maybe even the God Knights don't leave, is because they're working on some greater project. Also, one more thing I want to talk about before we move on, but Davy Jones's promise to potentially take down Emu, right? We don't know what it is exactly, but this does remind me of Joy Boy's promise to the former mermaid princess and how Joy Boy couldn't keep that promise. It seems like Joy Boy and Davy Jones, they have a lot of similarities in that sense. I don't think they're the same person. I've seen people have that theory like, oh, Joy Boy is Davy Jones. I don't think that's the case. I feel like Emu would not say Davy Jones here. He'd simply say Joy Boy. But yes, because they both have promises, I'm kind of also expecting both Davy Jones and Joy Boy to share treasures, right? Joy Boy has the One Piece. I wouldn't be shocked if Davy Jones has a counterpart to that. Like maybe there's a Davy Jones treasure out there somewhere, and that's going to be important. So we go on, and we see that the Marines are like, okay, we need to back somebody up here, right? We can't just sit on the sidelines. What should we do? And Garp is like, yeah, you're right. We should back them up. But then the Marines are like, wait a minute, Garp, who are you backing up? Garp smiles as he stares down to Emu. So yes, Garp has officially joined the battle against the ruler of the world, which is hilarious, right? Garp fighting Emu, yet keeping his job the very next day. How does he get away with it? My stance has kind of been that Garp keeps his position mainly because the world government needs a fall guy. Somebody has to become the hero of the Marines off of this island. And they need Garp for that, right? They can't simply give this to any other Marine on the island because there's no noteworthy figures here. You can't just say, oh, Cadet number 5 is going to be hero of the Marines. Yeah, Cadet number 5 took down Roxy Syvduck, of course. No. They need a substantial figure within the Marines already to take that title. And I think Garp was just that guy. Garp is going to get a lot of false valor coming off this island, which could explain, obviously, why he doesn't like talking about God Valley, because he didn't earn that title truly. And of course, the events are very skewed based off of what Sengoku told us, right? So, we cut on over to the center of God Valley where all the treasure fighting is happening. And we see that pirates and Marines are just kind of running amok. Everybody's treating this like a battle royale as it should be. Captain John is like, that was a good drink. Now, it's time to say goodbye to the Rocks Pirates. So he's officially leaving the crew here, and he throws his hands up, and he says, all right, Big Eater. All the treasure on the island starts flying towards Captain John. It's a really cool shot. The Jiki no Mi, man. I really enjoy this devil fruit. It's so good. I just feel like whenever it's in use, though, like, you know, when you really get down to the brass tacks, these users, man, they get treated so dirty. Between Captain John and Kid, it's like, bro, the Jiki feels like a nerf. Like, you get the fruit, and then I guess you're just open to one-shots. Because Captain John, after unleashing this great ability, he gets destroyed by Ganzui. And at first, you know, I was like, oh yeah, Captain John versus Ganzui, that's gonna be awesome! And then you see, like I said, he gets one shot. Ganzui whips out Mr. Five's Devil Fruit, the Bomb no Mi, and he one-taps him with boogers. Keep in mind, the Bomb no Mi, for some reason, only activates when you use boogers. Yeah, that's something. I will admit, though, while the booger aspect of it is pretty disgusting, the name of the attack is actually kind of awesome. Sky Snake Red Cannon. Like, I almost feel like the aura that the name carries eliminates the fact that it's coming from a booger bomb. So yes, Captain John gets destroyed here. Sad to see. But we do know that Captain John is not down for the count yet. He does make it off the island. And of course, he later goes on and gathers a treasure substantial enough that warrants the attention of Buggy, which we still don't really know the outcome of. Somebody said that Buggy did find Captain John's treasure, and that's why he's so rich for Cross Guild. I think that's true, but my memory is hazy. I'm currently rewatching One Piece. I'm at Impel Down, so that's, you know, kind of like on the forefront of my mind. I might hold a poll on this later, but if I had to ask you guys right now, who do you think is stronger, Captain John or Captain Kid? Who would you guys vote for? And maybe spinning off of that, who's the better user of the Jiki no Mi? I think I'd have to vote for Kid, just because we haven't seen much from Captain John. But it's interesting seeing how differently they utilize the fruit, right? You know, Captain John, we saw him with like the same Captain Kid metal arm, but that's about it. You know, we haven't seen Captain John craft big robots like Kid. So I would say Kid might be the better user. And the plus awakening wise, right? Kid has an awakening. We don't know if Captain John has it or not yet. But then again, like I said, Captain John, he does survive. So maybe he gets stronger later. We'll see. Useless debate, right? But I just want to like bring up the question. So we cut over to Dragon, and we see that because Captain John activated the Jiki Jiki no Mi before he was knocked unconscious by Ganzui, Dragon almost made it back to a marine ship. You can actually see the ship within eyeshot, but he gets dragged back. And because of that, he ends up dropping baby Shanks. And then Shanks ends up walking into a treasure chest, or should I say crawling into a treasure chest. Okay. So Dragon isn't the one who put Shanks there. Dragon's mission has always been to take the baby back to a marine ship and worry about the details later. Bro, this is something I don't think most people expected. It's funny how, you know, obviously the community, we all kind of come into an agreement with a certain theory, and we just expect it to happen one day. It was like, oh, you know, Dragon's gonna open up a chest, eat a devil fruit, and then put Shanks in there. He can't take the baby back to marine ship, etc. But here we have it. Not the case. Dragon did want to take Shanks back to a marine ship, and then Shanks ended up in a chest because they just stumbled upon it, right? Shanks couldn't fight the celestial dragon blood, and he had to go for the money. Yeah, this is a really fun development, and I do not think that Shanks and Dragon's story is done here. I do not think Dragon is going to give up on Shanks right away. In fact, hey, this might sound crazy, but then again, all of God Valley has been really crazy, so, you know, mind it. I think Dragon's gonna run into Shiki. I think we're gonna get a Dragon-Shiki confrontation, because I believe that Dragon will start searching the treasure chest in the surrounding area for Shanks. I don't think he's simply going to give up on this baby. And because of that, and because there's treasure all around them, Shiki's gonna make his way over here. So Ganzui and Shiki, they have some dialogue here, and Shiki's like, hey Ganzui, why did you attack John? Ganzui said, hey, he was betraying us. Did you really think he was going to share all that loot with us? Ganzui adds on that every treasure chest on this island is worth at least 1 billion berry each. Shiki says, billion? And then he runs off. Yeah, I think Shiki's gonna want to loot these treasure chests. Shanks is in one of them. Dragon probably knows that Shanks is in one of them as well. And they're gonna run the fade. Obviously, I don't think Dragon's gonna win if they were to fight. But you gotta admit, the dialogue exchange would be pretty damn fire. So yeah, that is what I'm expecting next chapter. And maybe, you know, since Dragon is looking for Shanks, maybe he does open up a treasure chest looking for the baby and he sees a devil fruit. I'm not giving up on that theory yet. Am I crazy? Am I coping? Maybe. But I think he will eat his fruit here. You know, I do not think it is out of the realm of possibility yet, but that's just me. So we go back over to Saturn-Emu, and we see that all the boys have gathered in front of him. We got Garp, we got Roger, Kaido, Big Mom, and Rox. And they all land their namesake final ultimate attacks on Emu. Galaxy Impact, Divine Departure, Pandemonium of the Abyss, which is Rox's first named attack, possibly his last, Shattering Void, Whitebeard's first named attack, Ikaku Sovereignty, which Big Mom does by herself. Usually she has like a partner for that, but no, by herself, landing the Sovereignty attack, and then Kaido using Dragon. I think that's hilarious. You know, Oda managed to slip in some comedy into this epicness of a double spread by just having Kaido yell Dragon, which when you think about it makes a lot of sense because he just ate his fruit. Like, you don't have a named attack ready to go minutes after eating this fruit. So yeah, he just yells Dragon, and brother, we got all of these attacks just landing on Emu one after another. And you can see the Conqueror's Haki in the panel, by the way. Conqueror's Haki's flying off from almost every angle here in the background. Big Mom, Conqueror's Haki coming from the sword, Garp from the fist, Roger, blah, blah, blah. Like, you know what I'm getting at. Emu takes all of these hits, and they're A-okay. regeneration just starts kicking in. Emu comes back in a matter of seconds, and then they unleash a Conqueror's Haki blast of their own. I think the most egregious part of this, by the way, is that Emu lost no aura from being hit by all these top tier characters. You know, go back to like Sommers, Garling, even Gunko a little bit. Whenever they got hit, it's like, okay, they look like they're kind of perturbed or annoyed, or, ooh, there's a sweat mark, or, they could have dodged that, etc. But Emu literally doesn't even look like he's looking at them, by the way. He's just like, yep, I'm blown up. I'm just going to come back. Like, Emu really is nonchalant, and I think that speaks volumes as to how powerful they are. And what's insane about this, keep in mind, Conqueror's Haki should be a nullification to the regeneration for the most part, right? While it doesn't stop regeneration, it slows it down, and you kind of feel the pain, right? Go back to Garling. Garling, rocks hit me in the head. Regeneration is slowed down, as expected. And then next we see Garling's on the ground bleeding out, right? These attacks should do damage to Emu, based off of what we've seen. But nothing happens. No slow regeneration, no sweat marks, no blood, nothing. Emu really takes these hits, and they didn't lose any aura. And that is what I wanted. I'm a villain glazer. I want final villains to be strong. Sorry about that, guys. But yeah, I think Emu looks great despite getting hit 6 times by high-level characters. And if they can tank all these blows, what blow can't they take? Why is Emu able to take all this and be A-okay? Because in my opinion, it's not like these guys are lacking attack power. No. This is the strongest lineup, I'll put money down, that I think we'll ever get. Like, even in the current story, I'm trying to put together a team to rival this team, right? And okay, we got Luffy, we got Shanks, I want to throw Mihawk in there as well. You could put Blackbeard in there. And then that's kind of it. Like, I don't think any other heavy hitters exist. I mean, maybe Dragon? You could put Dragon in there, right? But that's just like 5, and it's still very iffy. Like, okay, we got Roger here, Rocks, Kaido, Big Mom, Whitebeard, and Garp. It's like, you can't beat that lineup. Sure, they're not all in their prime, but still, like, that's insane that Emu takes all of that, and they're A-okay. Maybe the reason Emu feels nothing is because the real body is still in the Holy Land. Like, because they're possessing Saturn, Saturn's taking the damage, and Emu's just, up there playing with butterflies or something. Maybe that's it. When you get to the Holy Land, they can actually get hurt more easily. I don't know, man. This is some next level tanking, next level regeneration, and I'm loving it. Also, one thing people have been pointing out for the past couple of weeks, and it's even more so relevant in this chapter, but Zeus. Zeus was at God Valley. We got that, right? Zeus could have told the Straw Hats about all of this. Sure. But in this chapter, we see that Big Mom confronts Emu with the gang. And Zeus is right there. Brother, Zeus knows about Emu. They know about the ruler of this world. Brother, maybe it's too meta. And that's what I always go back to when it comes to anime, manga, etc. Some things are just too meta for the author to actually bring in, because it would either break or alter the story in ways that the author doesn't want it to. So I get it, right? Zeus doesn't tell the Straw Hats about this, but like, dude, this is a major thing, Zeus. You know about rocks. You know about Emu. You know about all of this. They even know about Saturn, right? Think about Saturn transformed here. Zeus could have been like, hey, Nami, that guy down there, I recognize him from God Valley. He has this thing where he could have listed the abilities on Egghead if he wanted to. Nope, none of that. Like I said, I think it's too meta, but I really would wish that the Straw Hats end of Elbaf, they all get together and they're like, okay, guys, let's just start sharing information. Especially when you look back at current Elbaf, and one of the main plot points right now that I think is kind of forgotten because it's been so long, but Vivi put an X on Luffy's arm into the newspaper. And of course, the Straw Hats that saw the X have no idea what the X even means. Robin sees it and she's like, this looks familiar. But because she wasn't a part of that whole plot point, she has no clue. And of course, Frankie has no idea, Brooke has no idea, and etc. So it's like, bro, if they just told each other about their journeys, about all these small things that have happened, it's like, man, we'd be big brain in it. But Like I said, I get it. A little bit too meta. That's fine. It's just a thing that I look back at and I kind of laugh about. Like, dude, if only. Like, forget Loki. Really, honestly, forget Loki telling this flashback or, you know, later parts of the flashback. But Zeus. Zeus could actually give us all of this. We go on, and we see that Emu, of course, like I said, regenerated. Rox does not let up on his assault, and he starts attacking Emu some more. And while he's trying to lay down the beatdown on Emu, Emu says, I see him. I see him far away in the forest running. A new branch of the Davy clan. A woman and her child trying to survive. Dangerous lives must not be set loose. Rox says, whoa, what are you trying to do? And he starts chopping them up. And it's great because you see the top tiers watching this unfold, right? Garp is literally looking up like, what's happening here? What is he talking about? Rox then gets attacked by Emu. We see two tentacle shadow things stab him. And Rox says, what is this? It doesn't hurt. It doesn't itch. And this could go back to what one of the Roger parts said at the beginning of this chapter, where the attack felt compelling. Maybe this is that compelling feeling that Rox is feeling. Emu goes on and says, it will not be Mu who acts. Thou shall be the one to exterminate them. Go forth and slay your wife and child. Rox is mad, dude. He's like, what? That's absurd. What are you talking about? And then we see Doy Reversy. Rox gets turned into a demon. We see the fangs pop out. The veins are popping. I wish we could have seen like the wings as well, but I'm assuming the wings will come in next chapter. Maybe even horns. But yeah, Rox got turned. It's rough. I kind of wish that Rox stuck around a little bit longer before getting Doy Reversi'd, but all good things have to come to an end, right? I just hope, though, that this isn't the last of conscious Rox we see. I hope that he comes back to some extent. I hope he fights back a little bit. Like, maybe before he arrives to his wife and child, he, like, snaps back for a split second. Maybe after he attacks his wife, he's like, whoa, this is too much. I don't know, man. I feel bad for the guy. And also, not to mention, I think this is going to be emotionally tough for everybody here. I mean, Garp has a relationship with Rox. Roger has a relationship with Rox. Hell, Rox is Kaido, Big Mom, and Whitebeard's captain. So seeing Rox get done like this isn't going to be a fun time. Yeah, and especially with the whole notion that Rox is on his way to kill his wife and son, which, mind you, everybody here is hearing. Right? Everybody here knows now that Rox has a wife and child. Beforehand, nobody knew. Only King Harold and Rox knew about their existence. But now they all know. Whitebeard knows about Blackbeard. Big Mom knows. Roger knows. Garp. They all know. Secrets out of the bag. And they're all going to have to try their best, I'm assuming, to protect them. And this could go back to the Kuba flashback of God Valley, where we get that one-off panel where Roger is like, hey, Rox, stop! And then Rox says, get out of my way, Roger! I'm assuming it's because Rox is on his way to kill his family. So yes, they're all going to try to stop Syvduck now. And that's not going to be easy. We know what Doy Reversy does to a person. It made Dory and Brogy 10 times... Well, okay, 10 times is an exaggeration, but it made them bigger. It made them bigger than giants. And not just that, but it gave them regeneration powers too. Brogy's arm, the one that Emu shot off, started regenerating. Or at least it didn't, like, fully detach, right? Brogy got its arm functionality back. So, yeah, they're about to fight a beefed-up version of Rox, which, of course, will fulfill Sengoku's telling of God Valley, where they're all teamed up against Rox. And it's just gonna be hard, because, like, yeah, Rox, sure, everybody fights him. That's fine and dandy. I could see them taking him down. But Emu is still here. The main villain is still on the island. What is he going to do? Is he just going to watch now? Is he going to help Rox and fight the Davy clan? Oh, brother. That's a tough one. So now what we have to talk about is Doy Reversy. Possibly one of the most broken abilities in the series. How does it exactly work? What were the conditions for it to activate within Rox? Was it the stab? I could see it being the stab, But also, I could see it not being the stab, if that makes sense. Because on Elbaf, right, Brogy got attacked, and then Domy Reversi'd. Yeah, Rocks got attacked, Domy Reversi'd. Maybe landing a blow is a requirement. But here's the thing. We saw other giants in Elbaf get flipped without being attacked. So that could lead us to believe that that is not the condition. Maybe he could just flip anybody. Maybe you have to be rattled by Emu to get flipped. And the reason why Emu stabbed Rocks is to simply keep them still. Maybe you have to be still to a certain extent, and then Emu flips you. Maybe that's it. Another theory I've been hearing goes back to the translation of Doy Reversy and how it means I have returned home. People are saying it could be connected to your homeland. Like, oh, the giants of Elbaf are getting flipped because they live on Elbaf. This is Rocks' homeland, so he's getting flipped. Same with the Davy clan. I don't think that's a bad idea, but I just have to see it not work for somebody, or I have to see Emu like fully leave an island and not Reversy somebody who's from there. I think I need to see more cases of it before I say that's the case. But I think that is an interesting route. And then another line of thought that I really enjoy, and the one I'm putting all my eggs into the basket of right now, is the Devil Fruit route. Like, okay, you cannot be Domy Reversi'd if you have a Devil Fruit, because you already have a devil within you. You can't turn to a devil if you already got one. I think that makes a lot of sense, and of course that would be like build up from like chapter 1, essentially, right? Ever since we learned that's how Devil Fruits kind of work or function. Which was a rumor, by the way. I believe Jabra was one of the first people who kind of mentioned it more thoroughly, where he said, oh yeah, you can't eat 2 devil fruits because the devils will fight and then they'll kill each other and then your body will explode. It's something stupid like that. But maybe Jabra was cooking. You know, maybe a devil does reside within your body when you eat a fruit, and Emu can't do anything about that. I think that would be pretty solid. Or maybe if you get flipped with the devil fruit, you turn into something even more demonic, which I think would be kind of fun, right? Doy Reversy, overall, very broken ability, and we still don't know how to counter it. We still have not taken anybody out of Doy Reversy yet. And here's the thing. If Rocks can get Domied, anybody can. Whitebeard could get Domied next chapter. Big Mom could get Domied. Kaido could get Domied. And I think if they get Domied as well, again, that would back up the whole thing where Garp and Roger teamed up against the Rocks Pirates. I think that'd be massive. Of course, that'd be a crazy battle. Like Demon Whitebeard, Demon Big Mom, Demon Kaido, and Demon Rocks versus Roger and Garp. But, I mean, that would show that Sengoku was cooking, man. Wasn't lying. Oh, boy. Yeah. I think the best part about this is that this is all very relevant to Elbaf. Because, you know, cut back to what's happening with the Straw Hats right now. Giants are being Doy Reversi'd. We have no idea how to stop it. So this flashback could actually give us good hints as to how to subdue the Giants, how to get them back to normal. If I had to take a stab at how to stop Doy Reversy or how to bring somebody back, I would lean towards Nika being the answer, the Warrior of Liberation. I think that could be it. And spinning off of the Warrior of Liberation, it could also do with Blackbeard's Devil Fruit, because he does have an attack also called Liberation. I feel like those are the 2 Devil Fruits that might just perfectly counteract Emu. And of course, this could go back to the 2 Devil Fruits that Rock said that he wanted to get his hands on in the first place. And one more thing I want to bring up. But if the Drums of Liberation is actually the answer here, what is that at the end of the day? Well, the Drums of Liberation is simply music. Maybe this is where One Piece gets very musical. Maybe Brook might play a grand role here on this island, and he simply plays music that touches the soul, and he brings people back to normal. If we were to go the Reversy route, though, where you have to flip the pieces and you need to like really play the game, I would put the onus on Robin to do that, and it kind of just goes back to a cover spread we got a while back, where Robin is the one playing chess with the Straw Hats, and in my opinion, she does fit that strategist role really well. And also, I get and I agree with the notion that Luffy and the gang aren't hearing this flashback firsthand. Loki's not telling them all of this. But we don't need that, because you know who we have? Zeus! Zeus was here, dude! Zeus, who's in the Sun Realm, witnessing Doy Reversy right now, could be like, hey, Nami, Big Mom saw this a while back, and we beat it with X, Y, or Z. Zeus could legitimately be the key solution to all of this. if we see how to counteract Doy Reversy, Zeus could legitimately tell us all of that here. Amazing stuff. And also, since Rocks got Doy Reversy, I think the theory that King Harold and or his guards got Doy Reversy has a lot more weight to it now, more than ever. And, you know, speaking of Doy Reversy, there's a lot of Doy Reversy talk in this video. That might just be the title of this video. But Zoro and Sanji. If Zoro and Sanji run into Emu, they're cooked. I'm sorry, y'all. They're cooked, man. Yeah, nobody's safe. Literally nobody's safe. If an attack from all the top tiers couldn't make Emu flinch, the Straw Hats are done. The only way I could see the Straw Hats winning on Elbaf is if Nika's just a hard counter. Like the Drums of Liberation send Emu back to the Holy Land. The Drums of Liberation free the Giants. Or somebody who's at the Holy Land cuts off Emu's connection. Or if Gunko obviously cuts off Emu's connection. Like, I do not think the Straw Hats can win here if Emu is unfettered. Great chapter, start to finish. Loved it. Loved the double spread of all the goats doing their attacks. I bet we're going to get something like this in the current story. I'm just wondering who with. If you guys had to pick a lineup of 6 characters to do attacks on Emu current day, who would it be? And I do think we will get this. I think it's pretty much guaranteed because, you know, the movies for One Piece, while they're not canon, I think they do try to bring in ideas that Oda wants to bring in as well, right? A great example would be like Douglas Bullet. In Film Stampede, we had so many random characters coming in to attack Bullet, kind of like this double spread. I think it's gearing us up for another version of that. Honestly, I don't care who's in there as long as we get Buggy in there. Luffy obviously will be there, but I want to put Buggy in there. I feel like Buggy would just be so silly, like dropping a Muggy Ball or like a Chop Dice Hammer or something. Yeah. Anyways, guys, that is it for me. Let me know what you thought about this chapter down below. In the next couple of days, we will be coming back and reading through the comment section. So make sure to drop all your opinions, your theories, and etc. down below. But yeah, thank you guys for watching, and Merry Christmas again. I know it's not Christmas, Halloween's around the corner, but let me tell you, I went to go look for Halloween decorations, and I found nothing but nutcrackers and Santa Clauses, man. It is tough out here. Did I wait too long? Maybe. But yeah, I might as well just start celebrating Christmas, man. Anyways, you guys take care. Have a great rest of your day. And peace out, brothers.